Hi, I'm Deb Davidson. I'm a director of D Squared Consulting. We're a local Adelaide-based sustainability firm. We were engaged on the South Australian Sports Institute project to help come up with the sustainability goals and vision as part of the design team with Cox Architecture. One of the key goals for the project was to achieve a 5-star Green Star certified outcome. So that helped to set a lot of the vision and the key sustainability strategies. The project was one of the first projects in South Australia that was registered with the new Green Star Buildings tool, which actually has a requirement in it to have a minimum reduction in embodied carbon. Aside from looking at design efficiencies, the best way to achieve that is to look at the sustainable materials that we could use. We looked at Wholesome as an option to reduce the embodied carbon content in the concrete mix. The structure of a building can make up 90% of the embodied carbon in the whole building. So using concrete mix with better performance can have a huge impact on the overall embodied carbon. For this project, we had to get at least a 20% reduction in embodied carbon across the whole project. And so the EcoPact went a long way towards that.
My name is Ricky Mealy. I'm a project coordinator for Hanson Yunkin. Been with HY for about 6 years now. Had the pleasure of delivering some of the best projects in Adelaide, massive variety of projects, hospitals, theatres, now SASI. So South Australian Sports Institute had to target a 5-star Green Star rating, and EcoPact Active helped us to achieve that through its carbon reduction, which has helped us get the points we need for carbon reduced concrete. There was no real impact with using EcoPact Active. There's no difference to just using a standard concrete mix. The guys at Wholesome really worked hard to get a mix out to us that achieved everything we needed, and after a few little test batches, concreters in site didn't have any issues with the workability, and all the slabs turned out really well. I'm super happy with the class of finish we've got now to the concrete. We've got a lot of exposed columns that have been painted, and there's been no need to heavily patch anything. From the concreting point of view, the stair cores as well as a class 2 finish have turned out really well as well. On both of our stair cores, pre-in-situ pans, workability on those 2 stairs were great. Had some really good flatness out of it as well, which is super important when you've got fire stairs that need to be within a super tight tolerance.
My name is Sushant Mane. I'm the Regional Technical Manager. I'm based in Melbourne, and I look after Victoria and South Australia in all technical matters for concrete and quarries as well. Traditionally, with low carbon mixes, it impacts on the early strength performance. That's why the high performance concrete always relied upon high amount of Portland cement in the mixes. EcoPact Active technology uses the range of admixtures and some strength enhancing additives to reduce the overall embodied carbon greater than 30% from the AusLCI baseline, and also manages to keep the high early strength performance. So SASI project was the very first project in South Australia where we supplied all the EcoPact mixes into the whole project. So the project requirement was the 5-star Green Star rating through the GBCA. So when the project team approached us, we looked at their program schedule and quickly realized that there is a need for the high early age strength EcoPact Active mixes. So we specifically designed these mixes for them for the post-tensioning and also some wall application. Now what we managed to, working with the team closely, get the lower embodied carbon as well as manage to retain the same properties in terms of the workability and pumpability as traditional concrete mixes. So the traditional high performance PT mix has approximately 340 kilos of CO2 per cubic meter. With the EcoPact Active technology, we managed to reduce that number down to 270 kilos per cubic meter. I think the early engagement is the key with the project team. This way, we can understand the earliest strength requirement and then work with the team to push the status quo that there is a belief that the low carbon EcoPact or EcoPact Active mixes don't perform exactly the same as the traditional concrete.
Traditionally, when we were designing sustainable buildings, we would be looking at energy efficiency as one of the key drivers. Now the thinking has shifted to the whole of building and a circular economy way of thinking, where we're moving from just using materials and disposing them end of life to thinking about how they can stay in the built environment. The role of materials and products in a sustainable building has increased greatly. Information that suppliers have in terms of environmental product declarations, or EPDs for short, information on carbon neutral products is all becoming much more important so that designers can select the right products. Something that's really important is to actually reach out to the suppliers early in the project to see what's available and what's possible. Just because something was hard or expensive on the last project doesn't mean that that's going to be the case going forward. I think the SASE project was a really good example of that, where we started off looking at concrete mix options, and the team then reached out to Holcim and were able to get information on some of the newer products that were available. So I would definitely say reach out, don't be scared to try something new, and look to projects like SASE as an example of what can be done. I think the future of sustainable construction is going to be based on working with suppliers and finding materials that can help to achieve those embodied carbon goals and also contribute towards the wider transition towards a circular economy.